All right, so could you repeat the first question you asked me earlier?
Sure. I was asking why you think Jesus used the term peacemakers specifically instead of just saying peaceful or peace loving, and what the theological and practical significance is of being an active maker of peace.
I think Jesus' message of about becoming peacemakers resonate with what Paul said in 2 Corinthians chapter 5. He states that just as Christ came to this earth and died on the cross to reconcile between humanity and God, we are given the ministry of reconciliation. It is our rightful duty to make people, to make peace and reconcile with each other. So that's what it means to be peacemakers. Not only we remain peaceful, but we should go out into the world and make peace and bringing people together and by bringing back to Christ so that they can be reunited with Christ.
I love that perspective. It really highlights the active role that we have in bridging gaps and bringing people closer to God and to each other. It definitely emphasizes that being a peacemaker is an active, ongoing effort.
Yeah, so can you make another question about the passage?
Absolutely. Here's another question. When we think about the contrast between the earthly tent and the eternal house mentioned in 1 Corinthians 5, how do you think that shapes our daily lives and priorities as believers?
So if our body is merely an earthly tent that will be destroyed at the end of the day, then we there is no other option for us but to uh, f- uh, place our focus on the eternal house of God. That's the ultimate destination we are aiming for, and our physical body is is temporary. So, and as as Solomon emphasized in the book of Ecclesiastes, God has set eternity in in the heart of man. It means that our hearts are set to look forward to eternity. In the other words, we must focus on things above, not on things below, things on this earth. So remembering these truths helps us to live for our spirit, because it is our spirit that we enter the house of God, the eternal house of God.
Absolutely. That's a great reflection. It really does remind us to prioritize the eternal over the temporary and keep our focus on what truly lasts. It's so easy to get caught up in our day to day concerns, but remembering that our ultimate home is with God helps us live with a deeper sense of purpose.
Right. So, another question.
Sure. Since we talked about Solomon's realization of God's final judgment, how do you think Solomon's journey and his eventual wisdom about eternity can influence the way we view our own life's priorities?
So once Solomon realized the reality of God's judgment, he came to understand that everything on earth is meaningless. He did everything he could to please himself. He had wealth and he was famous and he had riches and he had wisdom from God. So he enjoyed all the things man could. However, when in the chapter 3 of Ecclesiastes reveals Solomon's reflection about death and judgment afterward. So upon realizing the presence of God's judgment, he stated that there's nothing better than doing good and obeying the word of God, because he knew that after death, what remains of us is only our spiritual body, and our spirit will go either to heaven or to hell. so in order for us to avoid the condemnation in hell, we must live in obedience to the word of God, so that at the end of the day our spirit will be with God eternally in his kingdom.
That's a powerful takeaway. Solomon's journey really teaches us the importance of aligning our lives with eternal values rather than temporary gains. It definitely gives us a lot to reflect on in terms of our own priorities and what we consider truly meaningful.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have one last question, and we are free to go.
All right, for one last question, how do you think the concept of the ministry of reconciliation, as mentioned in Second Corinthians, can be practically applied in our daily interactions and relationships as believers?
So first of all, we must make peace with our fellow Christians and our neighbors, and we should fulfill this duty to those closest to us. And yeah, so that's how we fulfill our role as the salt and the light of the world. So through our good works and good deeds, we spread the aroma of Christ, and this can also help bring people to Christ. So our good works can initiate people's 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 willingness to come to Christ.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful way to put it. When we actively seek reconciliation in our relationships and live out that calling to be peacemakers, it really does create a ripple effect. It not only strengthens our own communities, but also becomes a powerful testimony that can draw others closer to Christ. It's a wonderful reminder of the impact we can have through living out our faith.